And I'm really pleased to introduce you to Dr. Philip Schneider. Dr. Schneider has an MBA from Harvard and a medical degree from New York University. So he's not only a business expert, but he's also a practicing physician at Mount Sinai Hospital in New York, a clinician. He's consulted with numerous Fortune 500 companies, including many in the healthcare industry, everything from strategic planning to best practices in sales and marketing. So this individual has a very, very well-rounded background, and I think you're really going to enjoy him. In addition, Dr. Schneider's been freelancing with Dan Connors over the last few months, and he's also been an advisor, by the way. I mean, he's been an advisor to the White House on healthcare as well, so it comes with a lot of knowledge and experience. He's going to discuss some of his, what he calls out-of-box ideas for growing our business during this critical economic time, and in particular in lieu of some of the Supreme Court hearing that just went down about a week ago. I'm just going to add a little bit that Dr. Schneider, he's a bit unusual because he's very serious about his subject matter, but he likes to weave in humor with his subject matter, as evidenced by two of his books. His first, a primer on the future of medicine, entitled "Where Are We Going? When Will We Get There? And How Will We Know If We Have Arrived?" And a new book for anyone in the healthcare industry seeking to increase their earnings, simply entitled "Up Your Assets." So with that, please welcome Dr. Philip Schneider.
Thank you very much, Jeff. That was beautifully read. Good evening. It's a real pleasure to be here tonight. I got to tell you, before I even get into my subject matter, when I was first asked to come in and speak tonight, they asked me when I might like to go on, and I thought about it, and I finally said I was wondering if you could put me on after a long day of meetings, in between cocktails, dinner, and your award ceremony, so that way you're all tired, hungry, anxious, and somewhat buzzed or inebriated. And could you hold the meeting in the exciting city of Columbus, Ohio? To honor your top management and sales personnel, while simultaneously there's another event being held for some of the least successful account managers at a small dive bar in Dublin. And then could you put me on after some terrific speakers, including Dr. Paul Pepp, who many of you may not be aware was recently rated as one of the top 50 experts in his field by Forbes magazine, while coincidentally I was recently rated as one of the top 5,000 experts in my field by Forbes magazine. So other than a few zeros, we're basically in the same boat. And with all those factors in mind, I'd very much like to thank Andrew Love for filling every one of my requests. I have to tell you, it's always nice to be here in Ohio, and I say that because I noticed one of the interesting things about this state is they have cities here named Lebanon, Poland, Miami, and Dublin. So I get the feeling the folks that live here pretty much all want to be somewhere else. And I know some of you are not thrilled to be here because from what I understand, Boundaries meetings were always held here in the past in the fall, while Triennium was usually at a warm, sunny location. So apparently management thought they could give you the best and worst of both possible worlds by having those of you of Boundary get the same boring location with nicer weather, while those of you from Triennium can lay by the pool and fantasize that you're back in New Orleans. With that in mind, I do want to tell you I am very happy to be here, and I'm having a really good time staying here at the Hilton Easton. On the other hand, any time I can spend like $17 for an English muffin, sign it away from room service at your company's expense, I'm having a really good time. I also want to tell you I'm honored to be the keynote speaker for the very first meeting with both your business units to get together to talk about some of the key people and issues in both organizations. And I'm actually glad to be on this early in the evening before dinner even though according to Tom Medpath, the VP of Sales for Trianum, I should have been up here about 10 minutes ago. By his standards, this meeting is already an hour and a half late. Now, let me add, I know that you do have a lot of stuff going on tonight, so I am going to try to keep my remarks short, no more than an hour and a half. So that way you can get to what I think you're really here for, which is to basically hit the hotel bar, resume drinking, and pretty much forget everything you're going to have to hear about reaching another level in change, procurement, inventory, and service support as quickly as you all possibly can. Having said that, I have a few things I want to get to tonight. And on the positive side, I'm not only here as a consultant, I am actually being utilized by your company as a tax write-off this evening. So I am hoping between the two factors I can save enough money so next year you can go somewhere even nicer than the Hilton Easton here in Ohio, such as a Motel 6 in Toledo, for example. And by the way, I'm not trying to make fun of the Motel 6 chain. I stayed at one recently, and I'll tell you right now, it wasn't all that bad, although I never knew asbestos could be turned into wallpaper. I got a room with a ceiling fan and a vibra-bed. I filled it with quarters. I pretended I was in a helicopter. I'm laying around the whole day. I was doing traffic reports. Now, having said that, it's always a pleasure to be in Ohio. There are so many great things to do here, beginning with all the professional sports, although not all the teams are doing that well. Just to give you an idea, I was in Cleveland. I wanted to go to a Cavaliers game. I called up the stadium. I said, "What time is the game?" And the guy replied, "Well, what time can you get here?" And there's also some pretty cool stuff here. I was walking around the shopping area. I went to an art gallery that had an amazing exhibit. They had a chair that was made entirely of bubble gum. The weirdest thing is I reached underneath and there was a little wooden desk. Without further ado, though, I do want to get into why I'm here. And as Jeff just told you, in addition to freelancing for the White House, I'm not only a business expert, I'm also an MD. And I realize a lot of you probably regard most consultants to basically be nothing more than a bunch of greedy, selfish, over-analytical, double-talking, pseudo-intellectual BS artists. And I don't know how to tell you this, but by the time I get done tonight, I'm not going to do a whole lot to dispel that conviction. On the other hand, I do a lot of traveling. As I go around the country, there's an awful lot of people who regard anybody involved in medical equipment sales to basically be nothing more than a bunch of over-analytical, double-talking, pseudo-intellectual BS artists. And as I look at you folks tonight, I see no reason to dispel that conviction either. Besides, I did a little research, and I don't think I was actually first choice to speak in this time slot. Apparently, there was a chance you were going to get former House Speaker Gingrich to come in now that he's no longer running for president. I got to tell you, I'm not a big fan of Newt's. He did some things I thought were out of line, such as when he accused the Clinton White House staff of being 25% drug users, which I thought was outrageous until I heard former Mayor Barry of Washington say, "That's nothing, 50% of my staff deals." Then I found out I wasn't even second choice. Apparently there are a number of people here originally from other countries, so there were thoughts of bringing in somebody who's bilingual, which unfortunately I am not. But I guess I figured I was still better than the next choice of having Bill Bottoms from Trianum speak, who often sounds so confusing he is basically considered barely lingual. Take it easy. With that in mind, it's an honor to be here tonight, and I say that because as a consultant, I'm often in front of some unusual combinations. Recently, for example, I was talking to a group of rabbis and other doctors. I remember looking at all these rabbis and doctors together in the same room, and I'm thinking to myself, the last time I saw this combination, I was a small child. And I was wondering at the time why the rabbis had knives and the doctors were all praying. I also recently spoke at an Alzheimer's fundraiser, and I don't know why, but I never got a thank you note. If anybody has a problem, you can talk to me later. Now, having said that, I have to tell you, when my secretary first told me I was wanted by your company, I looked up Sarnova on the web, and the first thing I found was a Captain Sarnova in a Star Wars online video game. So I initially thought I was going to be in front of a group of computer geeks who I think I could probably beat up. With that in mind, I am a little bit stressed out to instead be in front of a group of former firefighters, EMS workers, and medical equipment salesmen who I think could probably take me down. And the fact is, having said that, I think you guys are terrific, evidenced by the fact that your company, Sarnova, was recently rated as one of the top 5 medical supply firms of its size and kind in the country in both GEMS and respiratory care magazines, which frankly is not as impressive as it sounds, considering there are only about 5 medical supply companies. Of your size and kind in the country. And with that in mind, Jeff Prestel assured me you're going to spend so much money advertising in GEMS and respiratory care this year, you're going to buy your way right up to number 1. All this, though, is another reason I truly admire each and every one of you for being here tonight, because the fact of the matter is, whether you are a sales rep, account manager, regional sales manager, or a senior level executive, or a low-level executive, or a fair to middling level executive, or whether you're a vice president, junior vice president, senior vice president, regular vice president, or an irregular vice president in charge of managing vice, or whether you're a puppet, a poet, a pauper, a pirate, or just some idiot who walked in off the streets tonight with a fake badge. The fact of the matter is, I know each of you is a big shot in your own offices. And let us be honest, while some of you are big fish in small ponds and some of you are small fish in big ponds, I appreciate that you all came here tonight to the Hilton here in Easton to be part of a group of tiny little guppies in a large, hot, yuppie, tornado, quarry, shopping center, and rock-infested cesspool. And with that in mind, I really do admire your company, because ever since your inception over 30 years ago, you've grown from being a small startup with 3 people and a handful of clients to now have over 500 employees and 3 business units with 4 main offices covering all 50 states and selling over 100,000 products. Or, hell, I don't know, maybe it was 30 employees and 50 business units selling 500 products in 4 states, 3 counties, 2 peninsulas, and an isthmus. To be honest, I'm not really sure, and frankly, who really cares? The important thing to me is you're all making a lot of money, and I want to get my hands on whatever I possibly can. Faster than Mitt Romney can drive another dog to Canada. And I say all this tonight despite the fact that I know some of you might feel my presence is not really needed and in a way is interfering. And I'm here to tell you that's true. My presence is not really needed. In a way, it is interfering, but we thought you should know what it feels like when you go around to all your clients and customers and annoy the heck out of all of them. That's one of the reasons, though, you need to adjust to the changes that both your business units have undergone, including the big merger 4 years ago, which is never easy, because to me, a merger is very much like a marriage, and even a good marriage can be strained, which is why I've actually written a manual based on my own personal marital experience, which is entitled How to Keep the Spark Alive When You Wish Your Wife Was Dead.